how would it feel to be gnawed on by a polar bear, mauled by a lion, or slowly devoured by a Komodo dragon? In today's episode, we'll examine 10 of the most painful animal attacks we've ever featured, and explore the best ways to survive these terrifying beasts. Although some attacks occur in the wild, others involve pets turning on their owners. And you'll be shocked at which animals were considered domestic pets.
Oh my God.
Be sure to let us know what you think is the most painful animal attack in the comments below. We might just feature your comment in the next compilation episode. Which dog breed is so dangerous a country banned them in 2024? Which animal could smell blood from miles away? And how did a polar bear almost kill someone visiting a zoo? One of the many things we do here at How to Survive is educate you on surviving whatever life throws your way. Sometimes your pet can turn on you, while other times it can be a wild animal hunting for dinner. As I always say, being aware of your surroundings is never a bad idea. And even when you think you might be safe, think again. Although we like to believe dog owners are in full control of their canine besties, that's not always the case. And getting control of your muscular XL bully weighing over 130 pounds may not be such an easy task. With a bite force of 305 psi, this dog is no toy poodle. Factor in their kill count of 3 deaths annually in the UK from 2001 to 2021, then 23 in total over a 2-year span leading up to 2024, there's good reason to fear them. While out for a walk in Birmingham, England, the owner of an XL bully lost control of his dog as it broke free of its collar. It lunged at the young girl, biting her arm. Its owner was able to hold the dog down after the initial attack, but it broke free again and targeted 2 men who had rushed to help. You can see in the Texaco CCTV footage just how vicious the dog was as it chased them. Yusuf Ahadzai, who ran the car wash next door, was bitten on the leg. He says, "I saw the girl be attacked. She was bitten. I saw the dog and I came out. I was really scared. If it wasn't for nearby witnesses intervening, the dog could have killed the young girl." Thankfully, she was taken to the hospital and discharged shortly after. The owner of the dog, a 60-year-old man, was arrested on suspicion of possessing a dog dangerously out of control. Sadly, XL bully attacks appear to be a common issue in the UK, where in 2024 alone, 6 people, including children, have all lost their lives. The surge in attacks has led to a call for a ban on the breed, which some lawmakers have opposed. If you ever see a dog attack, call emergency services immediately for help. You should also avoid hitting the dog, as this may provoke it further and cause a more aggressive reaction. As I mentioned before, throwing something over the dog's eyes, such as a cloth, towel, or even a t-shirt, may help. You also don't want to pull the person being attacked, as this could lead to more severe injuries if the dog refuses to let go. As of 2024, owning or possessing an XL bully dog is a criminal offense in England and Wales, unless you have a certificate of exemption. And if you're looking to get the certificate, you can expect a lot of legal hoops to jump through and a hefty insurance policy. Maybe just stick to a Labradoodle. I'm a big fan of dogs, but when they have XL in the name, I'm happy to admire them from afar. As they say, it's not always the dog to blame but the owner. And while that may be true, unfortunately, statistics are what lawmakers base their decisions on. Some breeds are also known to be more dangerous than others due to their temperament and genetics. If I had to rank this on the pain scale, I'd say an XL bully tearing you to shreds is pretty high up there. That's gotta be at least a 9 out of 10. It's no surprise that the larger the dog, the more dangerous it can be. But even the largest and most aggressive dogs are nothing compared to a lion. If you find yourself face to face with one like Mike Hodge did, you'd better hope it just thinks you're a large cat toy and not breakfast. Mike Hodge, a British wildlife park owner, had spent years caring for lions, believing he shared an unbreakable bond with them. In 2018, that belief was tragically tested. One morning, Mike noticed a strange odor near the lion enclosures, a smell that could potentially distress the animals. Concerned, he decided to investigate. Entering the enclosure alone, he thought he could quickly resolve the issue. Shamba, a 10-year-old male lion weighing over 550 pounds, sensed something was off. Lions have an acute sense of smell, and unfamiliar scents can trigger territorial or defensive reactions. As Mike turned his back to Shamba, the lion saw an opportunity. In a heartbeat, Shamba charged, leaping onto Mike and grabbing him by the neck. The The powerful predator dragged him toward the bushes, his jaws exerting a bite force of around 650 pounds per square inch. Onlookers screamed in terror, some capturing the horrifying scene on video. It took staff members firing several warning shots into the air before Shamba was startled enough to release Mike. He was rushed to the hospital with severe injuries, including fractures and deep lacerations, but he survived after multiple surgeries. Tragically, Shamba was euthanized following the incident, sparking debates about animal welfare and human responsibility. So what made the lion snap? Experts suggest that the unfamiliar smell and Mike's turned back, a sign of vulnerability, triggered Shamba's natural predatory instincts. Even lions raised in captivity retain their natural behaviors. Lions are majestic creatures, commonly referred to as the king of beasts. They can run at speeds up to 50 miles per hour in short bursts and have retractable claws up to 1.5 inches long. Their roars can be heard up to 5 miles away. Every year, approximately 250 people are killed by lions. Lions are classified as vulnerable due to habitat loss and conflicts with humans. Wildlife reserves aim to protect them, but incidents like this highlight the complexities of human-animal interactions. Here's a survival tip: never enter a big cat enclosure alone and unarmed. Always follow safety protocols and be aware of the animal's body language. Remember, they are not pets. Pat a lion on the head? No thanks. My house cat already thinks he's the boss. Between their teeth, claws, and of course killer instinct, lions are more or less pain-inflicting machines. It's believed lions kill 250 people a year. And with 4 canine teeth reaching nearly 3 inches in length, you can only imagine how painful a single bite is. However, size does not matter. I always say it, no one believes me. On average, a king cobra weighs 13 pounds. That's nothing. But the venom they inject is certainly nothing to laugh at. Something this performer learned the hard way. Some people just don't learn until it's too late, which was the case for an Indonesian man named Norani. After capturing a 16.5-foot king cobra, Norani, who had a reputation for his precarious behavior with animals, decided to entertain local villagers with a show involving his new pet. Kissing a cobra is one thing, but hurling it around like that is just asking for trouble. Sure enough, the cobra fought back. Thinking that the show must go on, Norani pulled the snake off his arm and continued as if he wasn't possibly just injected with deadly venom. While smiling, he then started tapping the snake on the head as a form of punishment for its unruly behavior. But once again, it got the best of him. Norani played off the attack again and thrashed the giant reptile while local villagers kept their distance. Later that evening, the showman started to feel ill and went to a local hospital where he was given an anti-venom. Unfortunately for him, it was already too late. So what did we learn? Keep your distance from all snakes, but especially the ones with deadly venom. The good news is that king cobras only kill an average of 5 people annually. They tend to be shy and, although aggressive, avoid confrontation unless they feel threatened. So don't spin one around or try to kiss it. Being bitten by a king cobra wouldn't hurt as much as a lion, but it's not the initial bite you need to worry about. It's your body slowly shutting down that you would notice. We're talking discoloration of your skin, trouble breathing, painful swelling, and dizziness. Doesn't sound like a fun time at all. Our next animal is definitely one you can't miss. You're not likely to see one roaming around unless you visit an island infested with them. And if you live on that island, you should always look under your desk before starting work. Working on Rincha Island, one of 3 islands making up Komodo National Park, Mayen went into his office as he did every day for nearly a year. Moments after sitting at his desk, he noticed a Komodo dragon right by his feet. Wearing nothing but sandals and fearful of the dragon's vicious bite, Mayen slowly moved his leg away. Unfortunately for him, this caught the attention of the hungry animal, who quickly attacked. The dragon bit into his leg with a crunch. Mayen had to act fast. He stepped on the dragon's neck with his other foot in hopes it would let go. Determined to fill its stomach, the Komodo continued biting. In desperation, Mayen tried to pry open its mouth, and although he was able to get free, the animal managed to rip some flesh off of Mayen's hand as well. During the attack, a coworker heard Mayen scream for help and quickly came to his aid while alerting others. But no one was expecting what would ensue following the initial attack. With the ability to smell blood from almost 6 miles away, 7 other nearby Komodos headed toward the injured ranger. Thankfully, another ranger was able to fend off the new visitors with a large stick. This allowed the others to help Mayen get to a local hospital by boat to receive the medical attention he desperately needed. But his injuries were too severe to treat there. He was flown to Bali, where he underwent 6 hours of surgery and received 55 stitches. After a week-long stay, Mayen was sent back to Flores Island, where he spent another 6 months in hospital recovering. So how did the Komodo get into his office in the first place? Well, as it turns out, a cleaner accidentally left the door open overnight. To this day, Mayen still has trauma from the incident and doesn't like talking about the attack that nearly killed him. He still works as a ranger, but only indoors, where, statistically speaking, there shouldn't be any Komodos. Dogs, lions, cobras, and Komodos. We haven't even gotten to what's lurking in the waters. But before we do that, make sure to like and subscribe for more incredible survival stories and tips right here on How to Survive. If you're thinking of visiting the beautiful lands down under, you may want to do some research first. Crikey! Australia is home to a ton of beautiful natural wonders. The Great Barrier Reef, pink lakes, and national parks galore. But it also has a ton of animals, insects, and who knows what else that want to kill you. There are many reasons you'll want to be careful near the water here. And our next animal is one of those reasons.
And like facing him like this on the mud, in the water with just his snout sticking out on both my legs, just growling like that. He just growling at me. And I'm like, this is it, he's gonna pull me in.
In 2011, 28-year-old miner Todd Barristow and his dog went fishing in Weipa, North Queensland. Known for having more crocs than people, Weipa is referred to as croc country. Queensland's government website warns that even if an area doesn't have a crocodile warning sign, assume there are crocs in the water. But despite having that knowledge, many fishermen willingly fish in croc-infested waters.
You reckon it's safe here, do you?
It's not 100% safe, that's why I certainly keep a good eye out.
You reckon you'll see it coming?
Well, maybe not. You don't see the one that gets you, that's what they say.
It turns out what they say is true. When a massive crocodile attacked Todd, he definitely didn't see it coming. Within the blink of an eye, he was waist deep in the water, with his legs caught in the jaws of the croc. Todd attempted to pry the crocodile's mouth open to get it to release its jaws, which only made matters worse.
Tried to put my hand down and try to get him off, and he took another bite, and that's when he must have pinned my hand to the leg.
With both legs and one of his hands trapped in its jaws, Todd reached for a mangrove branch to avoid being pulled under.
So I started just yanking this one as hard as I could. I managed to pull it off.
Pull it free.
Pull it free, but at the same time I pulled my finger off. But what's the finger?
While being attacked, Todd's dog, Dig, unfortunately wasn't much help. Rather than barking, it was sniffing around. In an act of desperation, Todd attempted to sacrifice Dig for his own life.
So I grabbed him and I threw him over my back, hoping that he'd take him, you know, because I've heard a lot of stories, dogs, crocs like dogs, you know.
So you threw your dog in the water?
Threw the dog in the water, hoping he'd let go.
As a sacrifice?
Sacrifice, so I can go, get out.
Let's just hope they patched up their relationship later. We've seen what angry dogs can do. The croc was not interested in Dig and continued crunching down on Todd's legs. After tirelessly fighting to break free, his last resort was to yell for help. Thankfully, fellow miner Kevin Bevan heard Todd's cries and quickly jumped into action. Kevin used a nearby mangrove branch to hit the crocodile on the head, hoping it would let go. He then managed to pull Todd free. After a 30-minute struggle, Todd was no longer in danger of being eaten alive, but was in desperate need of medical attention. He needed to be airlifted to a nearby hospital with both his legs broken and severe puncture wounds. dislocated joints, a missing finger, and cuts to his hands. Thankfully, his injuries weren't life-threatening, and after surgeries and rehab, he was able to recover. Todd's fighting with everything he had in him is a key reason he survived. This allowed Kevin to come to his aid and ultimately rescue him. Let Todd's story remind us that when pushed to its absolute limits, the human spirit is much stronger and more resilient than we could ever imagine. Australia isn't the only place where you can find crocs. Africa is full of them, and even parts of Florida have to deal with these killers. Knowing where they may be lurking is your best way of avoiding them altogether. Surviving an attack clearly isn't impossible, but it's obviously not something you want to experience either. Their bite force sits at 3,700 psi, giving them the crown for strongest bite in the world. Ouch! But that's not all. Crocs are also known for their signature death roll, chomping down on prey and spinning around with enough force to rip limbs out of sockets. And killing approximately 1,000 people annually? Well, the saltwater croc, or salty, as the Aussies call them, may just be the deadliest on our list. While crocs are known to lurk in African rivers waiting for their next unsuspecting victim, they aren't the only water dweller you should be concerned about while on safari. There's a reason why they call the game Hungry Hungry Hippos. And for Marius Els, who kept a hippo as a pet, let's just say it was game over.
Marius ignored the dangers of befriending and caring for a hippo. Humphrey the hippo was rescued from a flood when he was just a 5-month-old baby. After a few months and a significant increase in size, the hippo's guardian angels could no longer care for him. With land and time to spare, Marius decided to give Humphrey a new home. Rather than seeing the hippo as the wild animal he was, Marius treated him like a domesticated pet. He taught it to swim, hold its mouth open, to have its teeth brushed, and even rode it like a horse, both on land and in water. Marius went as far as building a man-made lake on his property for Humphrey to play in and to make him feel truly at home. Although he viewed his uncommon pet hippo to be like a son, he was aware of the risks involved, explaining that he knew it was a little bit dangerous, but trusted Humphrey with his heart that he wouldn't harm anybody. Would you be that trusting? Marius felt very comfortable with his companion, but others, like his wife, did not. His wife Louise repeatedly warned him about the dangers of keeping a hippo, but Marius wasn't convinced, not even after a brutal attack on his property. Marius's nephew, Johan, who worked on the farm, was attacked by Humphrey in late 2010.
I wanted to run, but I thought, there's no way I can outrun a speeding hippo.
Johan's right about that. Hippos can reach up to speeds of 48 kilometers an hour on land. In Johan's case, he wasn't fast enough to get out of the way. He said it felt like being hit by a car. If you find yourself being charged by a hippo, you need to run for cover. Get behind a vehicle, tree, hill, or anything that could slow the hippo down. Thankfully, Johan survived the attack after Marius came to his rescue. Still, Humphrey bit a chunk of Johan's lower body, piercing his pelvis and barely missing his vital organs. Humphrey's next victim wouldn't be so lucky, as the now 6-year-old hippo, weighing over 1,000 kilograms, turned on the man who raised him, Marius. In November of 2011, just a year after Johan's incident, Marius's body was discovered submerged in the same river Humphrey was rescued in. Paramedics found him disfigured with bite marks all over his body. They couldn't determine whether it was the attack or drowning that ultimately killed him. No one knows for sure what led to the attack. Did Humphrey feel threatened, or was it just instinct to protect his territory? One thing is for sure: don't have a hippo as a pet. As seen with Marius, they can be very unpredictable and violent, even when held in captivity. And for my adventurous viewers out there, if you're ever in the Sub-Sahara and spot a hippo, listen to my next words carefully. Don't approach it, especially if they look like they're yawning. That's actually hippo for back off. Try to stay on open land where you can spot the hippo and where it can spot you. This may be tough since they're nocturnal, so you'd likely only see them roaming around on land during the nighttime. They don't like to be startled, so sneaking by one is not in your best interest. And this next tip might stink, but it could save your life. Look out for large pieces of hippo poo that have been spread over a wide area. This is how they mark paths between the water and food on land, using their tails to wipe it around. During the day, hippos tend to stay in the water, so be sure to stay away from nearby lakes and rivers where they're sunbathing. Even if you aren't planning on going near the water, you need to leave a clear trail for the large animal to make a run for it should something else startle it.
Hippos are believed to kill around 500 people per year, often mistaking boats for crocodiles. Whether the attacks are to protect their territory or their young ones, hippos are not animals you want to get close to, especially because of their insane bite force of 1800 psi. Getting chomped on by a very real hungry hippo like this would hurt like hell. Marius didn't seem to think there was much danger, given his relationship with Humphrey. But as I've said before, keeping wild animals as pets is never a good idea. If a dog can turn on its owner, why would anyone think a larger, more dangerous animal wouldn't do the same? For some reason, not everyone thinks the way I do, and unfortunately, it often doesn't work out in their favor. Our next story features a pet attacking not its owner, but a friend who came to visit. And let's just say it may be our worst and most vicious attack yet.
Sandra Harold of Connecticut bought Travis, the chimp, for $50,000 when he was just 3 days old. From the first day Sandra brought him home, she treated him like a newborn. She fed him formula from a bottle, laid him down for naps, brushed his teeth, and even dressed him up. Eventually, Travis learned to be independent like a young child. He would open cabinets to get a snack and even unlock doors with keys. Like humans, chimps have great memories and can reason between good and bad decisions. But sometimes, natural instinct wins over logic. Physically, they're very different from us. Standing upright, a chimp can tower up to 1.7 meters and weigh 70 kilograms. When they're fully mature, they're 5 times stronger than a human. They can also stand up for themselves when bullied, like Travis did when he was 8 years old. One evening while out for a drive, a pedestrian threw a soda can into the back of the family car where Travis was sitting. In response, he unbuckled himself and jumped out in an angry rage to chase the culprit. This was the first of 2 outbursts. The second one was much more severe for everyone involved. In February of 2009, Travis was acting more agitated than usual, possibly due to the effects of Lyme disease, which he was being treated for at the time. Sandra decided to give him a Xanax to calm him down, but that wasn't enough. As a fully grown ape weighing over 100 kilograms, which is more than the average chimp weight because he was living in captivity, Travis was now very powerful and hard to control. Sandra called her friend Charla Nash to help soothe Travis's nerves. However, once Charla arrived, things took a dark turn. At this point, Travis was on Sandra's front lawn, running between her cars. That is, until he laid eyes on Charla. It's unclear why, but Travis charged toward her, slamming her against her car before throwing her to the ground. Travis began attacking Charla in a fit of rage. Sandra grabbed a shovel and started fighting back, but this didn't stop him. As he continued to attack Charla, Sandra ran inside her house and grabbed a butcher knife. Shaken with fear, she stabbed Travis multiple times. That got his attention. Sandra jumped into her car and called 911.
Shoot him, please. I tried stabbing him, and he's hurt now, too. So he's gonna attack anybody. I can't get out of this car.
Once police arrived, Travis ran to the cruiser and opened the door. As the officer attempted to reach for his gun, Travis was staring at him, flashing his teeth.
The chimpanzee's mouth and upper area of his body was coated with blood, and the officer was left with no alternative but to pull his sidearm, and he shot the chimpanzee numerous times rapidly at a very, very close distance.
Charla was found lifeless on the front lawn, sadly disfigured from the attack. Over the next few days, Charla had more than 7 hours of surgery on her face and hands alone. It took a team of 4 surgeons, some of whom needed counseling afterward to deal with the trauma of what they saw. Unfortunately, Charla lost her sight after getting an infection from Travis after the attack. Chimps are incredibly strong, thanks to their fast-twitch muscle fibers, which humans lack. That is what helps them to climb trees quickly. To make matters worse, they've got very sharp and powerful bites. Always keep your distance from them. If a chimp attacks you, your best bet is to stab it or shoot it. If neither of those options are available, do your best to prevent the chimp from biting you. Shove your shirt or clothing in its mouth. Try to kick it off of you, whatever it takes.
You know, many people around the world want to get a picture of you. You're aware of that, right?
Thankfully, despite life-altering injuries, Charla was able to survive her attack. A few years after the attack, Charla would have more surgeries to replace both of her hands and to get a face transplant. Although her body rejected the new hands, the face transplant was a success. Still, Charla doesn't see the setback as a negative. She maintains a positive outlook on her situation, given all that she's been through.
I've come a long way. I never thought I'd do it like this. Now I'm ready. I want to ride horses again.
Since the attack, Charla is doing her best to live her life independently and advocates for laws restricting people from keeping primates as pets. A chimp attack can happen to anyone, anywhere. Although they're already illegal in most states, their rapid growth and unpredictability should also deter anyone from trying to keep one as a pet.
It's sad to think about, but when chimps are kept as pets, their lives are often cut short. This is usually due to them attacking their owners and visitors or escaping and being put down by authorities. Chimps can grow to be 5 to 6 times stronger than the average human. There's a lot of muscle under that fur. And they have a need for hierarchy, which is why things can get ugly with big groups of them in the wild. Oh, and to make matters even worse, they can carry numerous deadly diseases. So if that's not enough reason not to keep one around the house, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't think I need to explain just how painful a chimp attack would be. Their sharp teeth, jacked physiques, and relentless aggression are all a recipe for, well, an excruciating experience. As for the next animal on our list, like chimps, they're often seen as majestic and intelligent creatures fit for a kid's movie. But one fateful day at a SeaWorld in Florida made more than just a splash on the news.
On February 24th, 2010, during the Dine with Shamu show at SeaWorld in Florida, guests were enjoying their lunch while watching trainer Don Brancho interact with the star of the show, Tilikum, the largest orca at SeaWorld. But this lovely afternoon was about to take a dark turn.
To this day, you haven't been able to get the images out of your mind about what happened that day.
Correct.
Can you take us back to what you actually witnessed at the park?
I showed up at the pools where Tilikum had taken Dawn into, and it was very chaotic.
Dawn was at the edge of the pool rubbing Tilikum's head as part of her end-of-show routine. What happened next is remembered differently by witnesses. Some say Tilikum grabbed her by her ponytail. Others claim it was her arm or shoulder. Whichever it was, in a split second, Dawn was gone. The massive mammal had pulled her into the pool. The audience watched in horror, unable to comprehend the tragedy unfolding before their eyes. What followed was a terrifying scene as Tilikum violently attacked Dawn, holding her underwater for 45 agonizing minutes. What made Tilikum snap? Why did the whale hold onto Dawn's body for so long? And what happened to the footage of the attack? Well, to understand the tragic events of that day, let's take a step back and look at the life and career of Dawn Brancho. Dawn's love for marine animals began at an early age. During a family vacation to Orlando, she got her heart set on becoming a Shamu trainer. She pursued her dream with passion, eventually joining SeaWorld and working with orcas for 15 years. Dawn was dedicated to her job, maintaining incredible physical fitness to handle the demanding work with orcas. She ran marathons, cycled, and lifted weights to stay in top shape. Her hard work and charisma made her the face of the Shamu show, bringing in millions of dollars for SeaWorld. And despite her love for the job, Dawn was also well aware of the dangers. She often acknowledged the risks involved in working with killer whales. And the risks were real. There have been more than 40 documented safety incidents involving trainers and orcas at SeaWorld and other parks. Despite Tillicum's troubled history, Don Brancho formed a strong bond with him. Some trainers believed that Tillicum loved Don, making the attack on her even more shocking. On that fateful day in February 2010, Dawn's routine interaction with Tillicum turned deadly. After pulling her into the water, Tillicum thrashed her around, causing severe injuries. No one knows for sure why Tillicum hung on to Dawn's body for so long underwater. As incredibly intelligent animals, orcas are very deliberate with their actions. Some people believe it was a desperate attempt to fight back. It might have been all the roughhousing, the constant demands of performing, or maybe the compounded years of abuse that finally caused the whale to snap. An autopsy revealed that Dawn died from drowning and blunt force trauma. Initially, SeaWorld claimed that Dawn had fallen into the pool and it was her fault for having a ponytail near Tillicum. But former trainers and witnesses disagreed.
And I got more infuriated when I came home and saw the spokesperson for SeaWorld saying she slipped and fell into the tank, which was not what happened at all.
When Dawn was killed, investigators and OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, got SeaWorld's video footage and photos of the incident. News organizations wanted access to the records, but Dawn's family insisted that they be kept private out of respect.
Wild orca attacks are incredibly rare. When they're in captivity, though, they're more common. And sadly, it's often a response to abusive living conditions. In fact, Tillicum was responsible for killing 3 of the 4 people known to have died at the hands of a captive orca. And it's not because it was evil. It just simply wasn't living the way nature intended it to live, and its instincts kicked in. An animal's instincts are something we should always be aware of, especially when we enter their natural habitat. Based on Dawn's injuries, it's safe to say an orca bite would be indescribable. Although it's just an estimate, experts believe an orca's bite force is 19,000 psi. To put this in perspective, it takes between 2,000 and 2,600 psi to crush a car. So an orca bite would turn your bones to dust in seconds. Oof, it hurts to just think about. For a surfer who decided to catch some waves, the threat of what could be hiding underwater didn't scare him. That is, until the unimaginable happened, changing this surfer's life forever.
44-year-old Aussie Toby Begg is just one of a few people who've survived multiple bites from a great white. In August of 2023, the amateur surfer was chilling in the water with his buddies when they spotted a slight disturbance in the waves.
Just below the surface, where the water's disturbed, a 4-metre great white shark is moments from striking.
Before he knew it, Toby felt a sharp, searing pain shoot through his lower leg. A monstrous 4-meter shark had sunk its teeth into his calf and disappeared. As horrified witnesses looked on, it swam back for seconds, aiming for Toby's entire leg. Toby kicked into survival mode, paddling desperately towards shore. But the relentless predator struck again. For a grueling 30 seconds, the father of 2 fought for his life, finally making it to shore, only to confront the full extent of his injuries. He was losing blood quickly. Thankfully, an off-duty doctor and nurse were at the beach that day. They applied a tourniquet to stem the bleeding, buying Toby precious time to reach the hospital.
He is tonight in a critical condition, having lost quite a lot of blood in this attack. His family and friends in the surfing community are holding out hope that tonight's surgery pulls him through.
While Toby was lucky to survive, unfortunately, doctors needed to amputate his leg. Mick Fanning called him with encouraging words to stay strong.
That was nice of him, but The shark snapped his leg rope. I've lost my foot and maybe my leg, so I don't know what he was going on about.
Unbelievably, Toby returned to the ocean a mere 3 months later, bravely joining a paddle out to honor the memory of Zach Young, a talented teenage surfer tragically taken by a tiger shark in the very same bay.
So maybe going surfing in shark-infested waters isn't the best way to make waves in your sports career. With rows of serrated sharp teeth, up to 300 in total, sharks can cause some serious damage. Thankfully, only about 50 of those teeth are exposed enough to actually make contact with us. But that's more than enough to leave you in blood-curdling agony. Going way back to 1580, there have been 949 recorded attacks around the world. Great whites make up more than a third of those attacks at 351, with 59 being fatal. But a visit to the zoo has to be a safe and great way to get up close and personal with animals, right? For the most part, yes. However, when you ignore the zoo's rules, bad things can happen. These animals may be in captivity, but they are still capable of attacking. And when their routine gets interrupted, they can quickly get agitated.
Berlin Zoo, boasting the world's most extensive variety of species, is a place where families come to experience the marvels of the animal kingdom. But on April 10th, 2009, those marvels turned into a moment of sheer terror. A 32-year-old woman decided to get an up-close and personal encounter with the zoo's star attraction, the polar bears. Ignoring multiple warning signs and protective barriers, she climbed over a fence, waded through a thorny hedge, and scaled a nearly 10-foot-high wall to reach the enclosure. It was feeding time, when polar bears are most alert, and frankly, most hungry. As she plunged into the moat that separated the polar bears from the public, they took immediate notice. One approached her with a curious yet predatory gaze. Within seconds, curiosity turned into aggression. The bear lunged, sinking its powerful jaws into her back and arms. Panicked spectators watched in horror, some capturing the ordeal on camera. Zoo staff reacted swiftly. They threw life buoys and extended ladders to distract the bear. Some even used sticks to fend it off. After several tense minutes, they managed to pull the woman to safety. She suffered severe lacerations and bite wounds, but miraculously survived. Medical experts later stated that if she had remained in the enclosure any longer, the outcome could have been fatal. Polar bears are the largest land carnivores on Earth, with males weighing up to 1,500 pounds and standing over 10 feet tall when on their hind legs. They have a bite force of about 1,200 pounds per square inch, strong enough to crush the skull of a walrus. Their paws, nearly 12 inches wide, help them swim and also deliver deadly blows. From 1870 to 2014, there have been 73 recorded polar bear attacks on humans, 20 of them fatal. These apex predators are highly adapted to Arctic life, but climate change is threatening their existence by reducing sea ice. They rely on ice for hunting seals, their primary food source. Zoos play a crucial role in conservation efforts, providing safe environments for breeding programs and educating the public about these magnificent creatures. However, when humans invade their space, it not only endangers us, but can also lead to harmful consequences for the animals. Stressful interactions can cause behavioral issues and may force zoos to make difficult decisions regarding the animal's future. Here's a survival tip for you. Never, and I mean never, climb over barriers at a zoo. They're there for a reason, to protect you and the animals. Animals in captivity act on instinct, not emotion. Better stick to the kiddie pool next time.
With bites that can crush our skulls and claws able to shred our skin, I think if I was attacked by a polar bear, I'd pass out immediately. I don't do well with pain. So today's lesson on how to survive is to never keep animals that can rip you to shreds as house pets. Or jump over zoo barriers for a closer look. I feel like that one is pretty obvious, no? Make sure you're aware of your surroundings when traveling anywhere, and of course, pay attention to the warning signs that nature provides you. And whether you're on a hike at a national park or taking selfies at a zoo, the man-made signs are there for a reason. And animals don't care if you're a visitor. To them, you're a potential meal. When visiting any new country or region, do your research. For example, Florida has some of the animals featured on our list and more, and they all have one thing in common: they can kill you. Be sure to check out our video, How to Survive Florida, and we'll catch you next time, right here on How to Survive.